Yo, yo, what's good, everybody? It's your
What's
boy
going
Arthur.
on? Welcome to the Academy Podcast.
Podcast. Listen, man, we're here to do something a little different. We're live today. Listen, guys, we want you all to do this. Please share, like, get this word out. We've got a great podcast lined up for you today to celebrate my man Roddy, Coach Roddy, somebody who's near and dear to all of us, especially those who are from Oakwood. So we're gonna get a chance to share some stuff. G, man, you edited the show, put a good show together, man. We're looking forward to the most people seeing, man.
Yeah, I just had a good time, man. Just talking to different folks about Roddy, just getting all the different opinions, all the different words of affirmation. And I think this is something that's definitely needed, man. These are roses. And everybody doesn't get a chance to say anything at the funeral, you know. And so here's your shot, here's your chance. And so we were able to talk to several people. And if you knew Coach, this is just time to reflect. Listen, if you catch us in the chat, look, throw some stuff in there, remark, LOL if it's funny, we want you all to see this and experience this time together with us.
Absolutely. So this pod is going to be made available later on by audio, of course, on iTunes, Spotify. So you can check us out there. We see you, Quinn, with the Nabbit, man. So guys, just kind of put some of your favorite lines from Coach in the chat while we drop this special episode, special edition of the Academy Podcast. And I promise you guys are going to be blessed by some of the stories that have been changed. So stay tuned. Dr. Buckner, how long have you been at Oakwood? How many years?
Oh, man, since I think it's 22, since 1998.
And how long, and have you known Roddy since then? Was he always on campus?
Oh, yeah, and I'm giving you the years that I've been teaching there.
Right, because let's clarify.
I got there in 1989, so I knew Roddy since then.
So what was the vibe like, I guess, being on campus with this, I think what some have called on social media as a gentle giant, just one of us, even though, he wasn't our skin color. What was it like, just campus life as a student and then transitioning to when you started working there?
Oh, man. The years run together because, I haven't left. But as a student, I'm thinking, we come on and we're at the HBCU and there's this white guy that's there. And man, if I really try to be honest, Roddy almost had a scowl on him. So if you didn't know him, then, it's just a mean guy that's over there in the PE department. The coach, the consummate coach. But as soon as you get to know him, it's like, oh man, this guy is wonderful. Great guy. He can turn it. He's just that kind of guy that can turn it on. What am I trying to say? He can be your friend, but at the same time, he's your professor, he's your coach.
Yeah.
And, he's going to get into you as quickly as he needs to.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Roddy was one that would joke with you and have a good time. It was business. He would get up in your face. He would. It was a terrifying thing how quick he could switch on you. And it's funny because he had no problem calling you out in front of your peers.
No, listen.
Your homeboys.
I know you've seen him get into people's face, and I'm just like, he's about to get into a fight right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So here's my question now. Has he gotten in one of y'all's faces, and do you remember what happened?
Definitely. Oh man, Roddy ripped me to shreds. Wayne, what about you?
What happened?
No, I don't think so.
Oh man,
I wasn't one of the athletes, and so I didn't really have that opportunity to experience that.
Dude, listen, I'll confess, I was late for golf class. First of all, let me just say this: Roddy was doing classes. We had no type of field or nothing for golf, and he would just, he would make something out of nothing. And
how'd you mess up in golf?
Dude, no, I was late to class, and I went to the snack bar. The snack bar is right by the gym. And so I was just late talking to some people, and Roddy walked in, and I started smiling like, oh, he's going to come here and say something smart. I'm late. I'm coming. And this guy just starts yelling at me like, you know better. you know better. And he gets louder and louder. And I'm like, yo, Roddy, chill. Just chill. Say less. And he just got up in me. And it was like, and walked me in front of my friends, walked me from, because I grew up in Huntsville. So he knew, he knew me. So he walked me from the snack bar to the golfing thing. My food was cold, throw it away. I mean, just in my face. But it was all love and respect. I think Roddy commanded such a respect because
absolutely, man.
It was respectful. He was always respectful, but he wasn't afraid to call you out when you were wrong, for sure.
And I think even with the calling out, man, I compare it to my youngest daughter, Cameron. I felt like Cameron had to learn how to cry. Like she would get hurt, she would do whatever, and she'd be looking at you and be like, okay, whatever. I feel like Roddy's getting into somebody's face was a facade. It's like he learned how to put it on, but it's just like that's not even him. It's not even him.
It was, in the moment it felt real though, but you knew you knew where his heart was though. You definitely
absolutely all the time. Because I'm seeing him get into faces of dudes that I wouldn't get into their face. Because he didn't there was no fear, there's no, and everybody knew that he had nothing but love.
So, Dr. Buckner, with the choir, the Aeolians, he was, always sitting when you go into Oakwood Church, he was always tend to be on the side, I guess, where the drums are now. And he'd be there with his wife, always supporting, the Aeolians, always supporting different groups and choirs, whether it was AYS on a Friday night or Sabbath school early the next day, whatever it was, just having him in the audience, man, for you, as someone who works with students, what do you think that did not only for the students, but for the staff to kind of see a presence like him to just really be involved in everything, not just sports?
Look, man, it was phenomenal. He, first of all, it's obvious. Roddy is white. If you're expecting someone to show emotion, it should be somebody black. That's their culture. But we're performing it in church, and it's not crazy emotion, but he'd be the first person standing up.
I'm telling you,
the first person raising hands. I'm just like, what? And I mean, just always an encouraging word, man. I mean, it could be while you're performing, or after you're performing, or before you're performing. I'm gonna miss that. Y'all caught me at a bad time because I actually had just texted his wife, and just told her that I was praying for them or whatever. And I got the phone here, and she's like, "Thanks, Wayne. He loved you so much," And my wife, I was looking on my computer for the last time we interacted, and my wife sends me a text. She saw him in March. And she said she had some time to talk to him, and what he said was that he's a great guy, and tell him I'm proud of him for sticking with the high school volleyball program. But it's just
it's unreal, man.
Man, I can't.
I think because I know for you say you're not knowing him as well. But kind of seeing all the outpouring and the love, I don't think there was one person, young or old, whether you went to school, whether you were young with him when he was there or taught with him or just being around him. I mean, it was never any hate, man. It was just love. And he would joke on you and crack on you. He could take a joke and he'd fire right back, man. It was just kind of the perfect mix of just an incredible person. But I think, to Dr. Buckner, your point about the first one to stand up, he was a spiritual guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he was about holiness, man.
And I mean, it's spiritual, definitely. But I'm remembering specifically with the volleyball team, because I coached the Oakwood, the university for years. Right. And look, there was no way we were getting into the gym up to an hour before sunset. It was like he's respecting everything about, I'm just like, Roddy, we're not doing nothing. We could just be in the gym, just dressing out. It's like, nope. And the other team can't come in. And, he just, what he believed is what he believed. And, just integrity. I got the opportunity to play flag football against him mostly, I think. And I may have played with him maybe a year or two. But, I saw somebody, it was Keena that put it on my post. It was so accurate about him playing quarterback and being able to pump fake 20 yards down the field. He
Wow.
just, you know, we're going, I'm a rusher. I'm coming for his flags. And I'm thinking he's throwing the ball and he's steady walking, you know, because at the time that he was playing, I feel like he had come out of retirement. And he wasn't, you know, really mobile, but just his mind for the sport, you know, and I'm sure his players could tell you about his coaching mind. And, you know, I thought I had Tom Brady on my squad when we played with him. I mean, we're doing all kind of,
I believe it.
Motion plays. He's turning around, faking the ball. You know, just a great guy, man. Great athlete, great mind, great coach, great athletic director.
So,
you know,
so that was an intramural team that you played on, and he was the quarterback.
The quarterback.
So,
yeah.
What was the name of the team? You remember?
Man, it's too many teams. Well, faculty staff team. Yeah.
Oh, it was faculty staff.
Team. Yeah.
And you all were playing against the students.
Yeah.
So were you winning?
We were
winning,
you
beating the students?
Oh yeah. We were the team to beat. Yep. What's going on? What's
up, Rich? Yo, man, we had to bring Rich Martin on to come and talk about one of his buddies, man.
Sure.
Talking about just how so much of a brilliant mind Roddy was. But Dr. Burton, to your point, there were so many intramural teams, so many intramural games. I mean, just so many activities between the field and the basketball court that you just, I mean, it was almost strange if he wasn't there yelling at someone.
Yes. Yeah. On the sideline or on the field. I also posted lately my volleyball team, you know, we would go traveling or whatever, and he'd go there every game. But man, Roddy would be sitting, you know, volleyball is a different sport. It's not basketball, it's not football. Yeah. You know, there's not a whole lot of yelling on the court. You're supposed to, you know, if there's a mistake made, the thing is it's next play. You don't see it, you don't my fault, it's just over and you're ready. But Roddy would be on the sideline, you know, I'm coaching on the bench, and somebody misses a serve. Oh my goodness. Serve the dang Nabbit ball. He's gonna let you know that you don't need to do that again.
Yeah, man.
That
Nabbit, man. It have everybody in the audience be dying. Everybody would be just falling out laughing. Is
this something that was said often, Dag Nabbit?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. All the time. All the time.
Yo, Rich, man, talk to us, man. What were some of your early moments with Roddy, man? You remember the first time you ran into him?
I do. I heard about Coach Roddy and the legend of Coach Roddy before I arrived at Oakwood. A couple of my peers' father, Dr. Eddie Pilote, pulled me aside and said, as I was going to Oakwood, his daughter was going to Oakwood, his eldest was already there. He said, when you get to Oakwood, find James Roddy and tell him Eddie Pilote sent you. I said, okay, sure, no problem. So against the advice of a number of upperclassmen, juniors, seniors, who said, hey, listen, save all of your PE courses until your final 2 years. I just dove headfirst. I took like all my physical education courses, like my freshman year and the first semester sophomore year, and all of them with Roddy. And so I took softball first with Roddy, and that's when I went to him and I said, hey, Coach Roddy, I'm Richard Martin. Eddie Pilote told me to come find you. And he kind of just laughed with that, you know, that gruff voice, you know, oh, is that right, kind of thing. And kind of looked at me, and I kind of feel like, you know, my relationship with Doc Pilote kind of endeared me to him somewhat. Like Doc Buckner said, I wasn't a student athlete on one of the official school teams. So we didn't have that relationship, but because I took successive PE courses, he just kept seeing me semester after semester. And I don't know what he observed in me, because this is softball, basketball, and I can't remember what else I took. But I remember after my freshman year, and I sang in the Aeolians under Dr. Buckner freshman year. And so coming back sophomore year, I was divided if I wanted to continue in the Aeolians or try out for the basketball team. So he stopped me right across the street from the snack bar. I'll never forget it. And he said, I expect to see you in my tryouts this year. And I was kind of like, what? He said we could use someone like you. And I thought he meant in terms of athleticism. He had seen me play in his basketball course. And I'm sure that has something to do with it. But he elaborated. He was just like, we need someone spiritual. We need someone, who's level-headed, had a good character. And I didn't take that as an indictment on anyone else on the team. I just was saying, I know what kind of teams we want to develop, and I want you to try out. And I said, well, Coach, I would love to try out. I'm honored. I told him straight up, I said, I'm kind of between minds between whether or not I'm going to pursue choir or basketball. And he said, well, listen, I would love for you to be a part of the team. Come try out. It's kind of fuzzy. I don't know if I ended up trying out. The scales ended up tipping with me being in the choir pretty much almost the rest of my time at Oakwood. But looking back, I don't regret not playing, because that was just all the validation I needed, right?
Yeah.
Like Roddy said, I want you at my tryouts. Who knows what would have happened, but that's like a moment frozen in time. Rewinding before that moment, at some point during my freshman year, like I think Dr. Buckner alluded to, and so many others, so many people in their posts, no one has avoided the obvious, right? He is a white man. Jesse Wilson said he wasn't black-white. He was white-white.
He was white-white, yeah.
So for me, the visual, and of course, by that time, he had already been at Oakwood for decades. But, me just arriving, I was like, this is kind of odd, especially the endearment that I perceived, like upperclassmen, alumni, Roddy. I'm like, yo, what is going on? And so I just asked him after a while, and I didn't want to come off as though I was kind of speaking out of the side of my neck or anything, but I developed enough courage, and we had kind of been teasing each other long enough. I said, hey, Roddy, man, Coach Roddy, like, how was it for you coming to an HBCU in Alabama in the 60s?
Yeah.
And he kind of paused and just said, hard. Like just one word.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. And after a few minutes, he kind of just elaborated a little more. He didn't go into the weeds with it. He just said, there were some people who didn't get it, didn't support it. But, by and large, those who embraced me, those who were down to kind of explore what this relationship could be, they outweighed those who were anti. He didn't identify. He didn't say it was people at Oakwood or his family. I guess he kind of just, left you to kind of imagine. And it doesn't take much to situate his coming to Oakwood in the times of American history, right? So you can imagine there was a little bit of both. Incidentally, after I shared that story in my post, one of his former students, in fact, one of his first Oakwood students, put as a comment, he said, I was a part of the first student body that kind of was there when Roddy arrived. And he said, I'll be honest, I gave him a hard time, right? This is a black student in the 60s, young white guy coming. I'm sure this student had a lot of, just apprehension. And he said, but we became fast friends, great friends, and I'm grateful that he came. So I can imagine it was both and, there might have been some black folk who were kind of like, I don't know, we're just going to keep you at arm's distance and then see. And then maybe some white people too who didn't understand it. And so for me, it's a testament, that decision, and of course, subsequent years, Roddy did the hard thing. And it wasn't just race thing. And I think we all know that. Right. He did the hard thing in terms of professional, like he put the athletic department on his back, went to bat for the team,
carried it,
developed stuff. Like you said, we didn't have to have a full-on golf course to have a golf class, right? And so I think that a number of people have called it incarnational ministry. I think that there's some truth to that, right? Like he became one of the people. Man, Austin, I tried to find this clip. I can't remember which alumni weekend. I thought it was 2017. It could be 16. But it was one of the years where Jonathan Slocum was emceeing. And, Jonathan Slocum, he has his spots. He's ribbing people. And he looks to the right where Roddy sits. And he says, Coach James Roddy. And all of a sudden, people are like, okay, what is he going to say? And he says, man, you still white? And the place erupted, man. Roddy stood up and was waving his fist, pointing at him, smiling. When you can have a black comedian in a room full of black people say that to a white man and everyone just get it.
Yeah, everyone got it.
That for me says this is a strange love affair. You couldn't really orchestrate it if you had to, but we thank God for it. And I'm grateful that I was just in proximity to him. Anytime I would go back, just about every time I go back as an alum, if our paths would cross in Oakwood or somewhere on campus, he would say, keep preaching the word, keep serving the Lord. And I mean, those comments, in all honesty, they weigh heavily on you, because you can say, out of all the people you see over 40, 50 years, like, how do you remember me, what I do, and just take time to say, keep doing what you're doing, man. So I'm thankful for James Roddy.
Let me do something with both of you all. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. First question is this: give me one word. Like, if I was asked you to describe Roddy, just give me one word that is your descriptor of him. What popped in your head when I asked the question?
What popped into my head was father. Yeah.
Oh man.
And I'm not professing to be super close to Roddy, you know, but when it was obvious that Roddy knew my name, I felt really good about myself.
Yeah. Definitely.
I agree. Yeah.
Definitely.
You know, and I mean, you know, his I say father also because of the testimony of his family.
Yeah.
You know, we saw him take care of his children. You know, we saw him cry at his son's funeral.
Yeah.
You know, and we also just saw him take on every young person that came through his doors as his own son.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Daughter. You know, so yeah, just a great father is what comes to my mind.
The word that comes to mind for me is authentic. I just am amazed that everyone can cite commonalities in their time with him, whether you had him in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, the first decade of 2000s, here into the second decade. You know, how is it that people have the same catchphrases, the same temperament, personality? You know, for me, it's just like, I think from the time he stepped onto campus, and of course, my assumption would be, hey, I'm sure there was some adjustment and adapting he had to do, just trying to get used to it. But he was authentic. You know, he was going to be who he was going to be, whether you liked it or not. And if there's anything that I can say we would all agree about our particular community, is we like authenticity, and that endears someone to you.
Yeah.
And so that's the word that came to mind. As soon as you started to present the question, G, was, hey man, he was authentic. Whenever you saw him, it was Roddy.
Yeah. I think for me, man, he was kind-hearted. You know, Dr. Buckner, when my pops died, that was such a traumatic experience. And for, you know, the kids at Oakwood at the time, him being the chaplain there, it was just tough on a lot of people. And I remember distinctively after the funerals, you know, Sabbaths have gone by. And of course, Roddy had called, but he came over to me and my brother. We were just sitting there just early for Sabbath school one day. And he sat in between us, kind of squeezed in between us, made us laugh, and put his arms around the both of us and didn't sugarcoat. He said, look, this is going to be tough, but we're not going to let you go through it alone. That was it. I mean, just real. So when you say father figure, man, I just, that came into my mind. Like, I mean, just didn't have to say much, but you felt it. You just felt it. And, you know, after that, man, just always trying to put a smile on your face. So
yeah,
all the words that we just kind of described, G, I think is just, you know, words cannot describe a legend like Roddy, man, sure.
Well, words can't do it. And so we asked you all for one word already. So now I want to do the picture, because the picture paints 1,000 words. What is the image like that's in your head, like the flash image of Roddy, that when you think of him, what do you get? What do you see in your mind's eye?
Man, for me, I see everything from the snack bar backwards.
Yeah.
You know, auditorium, snack bar, gym, field.
Oh, that's a fact.
Like all of that over there, just like Roddy territory, you know. For me, because a lot of my, you know, even some of the stories I shared, they happened in that location of campus. Saw him all the time at basketball games. And I just want to say this, that when you know you're influential in any setting, but let alone an institutional setting, it can be very easy to mismanage that, right? Or really not know how to steward influence. And you know when you have influence, and so knowing what to do with it is a different level of maturation. So there were times, man, where I just kind of laughed, like at basketball games when he would get a little rowdy and maybe start, you know, kind of getting into it with the refs, and the crowd would kind of be like, "Oh, there goes Roddy!" Like in my mind, I was like, he knows what he's doing. He knows kind of where to push a little bit to get the crowd going. They have to hold him back and all the antics. But I was kind of like, of course, that's more, just kind of bravado in a sporting sense. But man, he used his influence behind the scenes too, for things like helping people get cleared, for paying for things, right? Never once saying, "Hey, I want my name to be out there." So for me, that's a powerful sense of the imagery. It's what we see in front of the scenes, but behind the scenes, I also just think of the countless stories that will never come up about how he used his influence for good. I lend my voice to the cloud of witnesses who've already said that something needs to be named after him in that area of campus. So that's what I think.
It belonged to him, man.
Well, listen, guys, we appreciate you all coming on and just giving a few words about Rising. We just want to give you all space to be able to share.
Thanks for the opportunity, man.
For sure, man. Appreciate it, guys.
Peace.
What was it like first time meeting Roddy? What was your impressions? What how was that for you?
Well, the first time I remember meeting Roddy was as a student when I came to Oakwood back in '93 as a freshman, and some friends of ours from home it was flag ball season, so we would go out to the flag ball. They wanted me to play with them, and I was like, "Yeah, man, we had a pretty good team from home, from California." And our first, I think it was either our first or second game, it was this older guy that was out there playing. We were like, "Who is this older white dude out here playing? Who is this guy?" And they said, "Oh, that's Roddy. That's Roddy." I was like, "Okay, all right." And I didn't think of anything more about it. And we started playing, and this dude, he was the quarterback of his team. And I'm talking about some of the trickiest plays you've ever seen in your life. I mean, he had us running all type of directions, and students would get mad. Someone would try to bump him and hit him. He'd jump right up. "You can't stop me. You can't get none of me. Get out of here. Get out of here." Okay, who is this dude really?
Yeah.
Who is this really? But the more you got to know him, you know that he meant well by it, and he was just really a good guy.
Yeah.
And just that meant years of working with him, and playing with him. That was just one of my fondest memories, first memories, really. Just interacting with him on the flag football field. Yeah.
So your time when you were younger, working with him, and then of course in your years where it's just you're teaching now, you all are working hand in hand. Just what was that experience like? Just being around Roddy, all the time. I was just talking to Dr. Buckner and Richard Martin about how Roddy was a guy that was always at every event. Wasn't just sports stuff. He was coming to worship. He was at church. He was at the snack bar. But for you, working hand in hand with him. What was that experience like for you?
Well, it was pretty enriching experience because I was able to not only see him as a instructor on one side, and then we worked together as instructors, and then near the end of his time as an instructor, I was his boss in the classroom, and man, it was a great experience. I mean, because he was the one who actually came to me when he knew that I had an opportunity to become the chair of the department. And he came to me and said, "Look, we need you here. Wow. These students need you here." He said, "I know you're getting other offers and people want you to come other places. Yeah. We need you here." And that really meant a lot to me, for him to stop and just say, "Man, you're that important that we need you here." And he told me, he said, "Whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. No matter what." He said, "I will do whatever you need. If you need me to help me do find funds or whatever you need me to do, I'm willing to do it. But I know that you are needed here in this department." So it was a great experience, being able not only as one of his students, also as a coworker, and even when he worked under me, in our department. I never had any issues with him. It was just great, man. He was a good guy, just a really good guy. Really good guy.
That's a good dude.
So the wording that you used when you said that, I mean, I got a sense that when he said, "We need you here," that he's speaking from a sense that like he is a part of Oakwood University, like fully invested, like,
oh man,
there's no separation between him and Oakwood, because when he said "we need you here," he was talking about Oakwood University, and like he ain't going nowhere.
Right. So, I mean, for example, with that G, no matter where I went, we would go and, you know, when I was traveling with the choir, or even if I just go visit in a city, man, the first question that always came out of people's mouth was, "Hey man, where's Roddy? How's he doing?" Everybody knew Roddy.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody had a relationship with him. And it was something that no matter what you needed, if you needed a meal, he would have students over, and especially his athletes. He really did everything he could to take care of them, man. I mean, this dude, these students that have money to get into school, he would find ways to get these kids in school. I mean, I don't know how he did it. I really don't know how he did it. He had money coming out of all different places. He said, "Don't you worry. You get here and I will take care of you." And he actually did that. He was a man of his word on that. A strong family background that he's built, even with his family. Yeah. And I think that played a big part. I'll give you a story. It's his oldest son, Brendan, when he was alive, he was at Oakwood. We were all at Oakwood together. And Brendan came and tried out for DP. He came and tried out for DP, and he actually made it into DP. But Brendan came to me, he told me, he said, "Man," he said, "look," he said, I can't be at rehearsal on Friday." I said, "What do you mean you can't be at rehearsal? We rehearse Fridays afternoon and Saturday. What do you mean you can't be at rehearsal?"
Yeah.
You need to be at rehearsal so you can learn a song. He said, "No." He said, "My dad, we have to be at worship. Everybody has to be."
And he was in college.
Wow.
Everybody has to come back home for worship on Friday night.
Come on.
Wow. And I was just like, okay. And now it wasn't just his family, because there were other students that would show up for worship and would be there with them. But that said a whole lot, you know, that no matter what.
I didn't know that he was doing worship with other students too on Friday nights.
Yeah. I mean, he and at his home, he would invite them. They would be at home. They would have their family worship. People would come over for their worship. It was just
major.
You know, that just said a lot. I was just like, wow, this guy's real. This is not something that, you know, it's not a show. He's living the life that he's talking about.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey man, I can't fight with that. I can't fight with that, man.
No.
You can show up on Sabbath, and you know what you gotta do."
Right.
You know,
what you gonna say? You can't be in DP because you got to go to worship.
Right. So they went to worship, and it was like that with all of them. All of them knew that their parents instilled something in them. That's, hey, we got to be together. We're gonna bring the Sabbath in together, and I thought that was pretty awesome. That went across everything that he did. You know,
I just learned something new. I did not know that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. He was just that type of guy.
Hey Ben, give me one word to describe Coach.
Oh, one word. Man, I don't even know what to say here. Because I want to say a word off the wall, something like different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unique.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's true.
Because I want you to remember that this is this is a white gentleman who came into a black atmosphere, and he never claimed to be black.
Yeah.
You know, but he was able to adapt to where you felt that love from him, as if he was truly one of us, which he really was. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that's that uniqueness, because he was one of Oakwood's biggest supporters. He recruiters, promoters. You need to be at Oakwood. You need to get your butt here at Oakwood. That's what you get here.
All right, now see, I already asked my last question, but now I forgot who I was talking to. So we need a Coach Roddy impersonation.
Oh goodness.
That's probably so many. Probably so many moments that had Benji on the floor laughing.
I mean, there's so many. But Dag Nabbit is the one everybody knows.
Yeah.
That was his Christian curse words.
That's it.
And it was something that everybody knew that it was coming.
It was coming.
You know it was coming.
Yeah.
He fuss at you and then he'd love on you. All right, come on, let's go. Come on. You know, and it was just him. You knew he was a genuine guy. It was just all genuine. It was not. Nowhere did I ever see anything else like it. He kept it real. I'm gonna miss that guy just because of who he is, man. He's just that type of guy that just made an impact, man. Impact, just the way he lived, man. His life, just an impact. And I'm just thankful I had the opportunity to connect with him, to teach along with him, to chair him. It was just a privilege. And the family, I love them all. You know, they're awesome also. So, you know, it runs deep, man. This is going to hurt the Oakwood family for a while. Yeah.
Sure. Dude, man, thanks for doing this for us, brother.
Yes, sir.
No problem.
Man, Benji Young coming on. We appreciate it, man, as we continue just to talk, to pod about, man, just the giant of our man Roddy. So appreciate it, Benji.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, man. God bless.
Peace.
Look at this one with the Gatorade. Athlete, what's going on with your hoodie? What's going on? Where you coming from? Where you coming from?
I just did like an hour long of Effect Fitness workout. So excuse the attire.
Nah. Oh, whatever. Get busy. Do your thing.
Athlete attire.
Yeah.
Do what you can. Do what you can. Because look, when you get, I'm 49. I went riding my bike today and fell off.
Oh, you did fall today.
I fell off my bike. It was raining. It was slippery on the bridge. I'm just going like it ain't nothing. I fell off that thing like I was in the one of the Mission Impossible movies.
No.
Yes, but guess what? I just jumped up, right? But guess what? It still hurts.
Now your body's aching.
It still hurts. It still hurts. So we got an athlete on here to talk about Coach right now. You know why you're here. We just have a few questions just about your relationship and just what you think about him. What stands out to you, like when I even bring him up? Like, what's the first image that you get?
For me, it's just so surreal being a frontline healthcare worker. Like, I'm in the hospital even like in a couple hours every day. This is insane. But I love Roddy. I remember I was actually a part of the very first volleyball team at Oakwood with Hillis and Terrence from Curacao. They worked us, but Roddy was a proponent of things that were new. He wanted to be innovative. He wanted to be able to bring things that Oakwood had never seen before. And I remember I took basketball with him. And my dad is a coach. He has coached so many different sports. So I've been around sports and basketball my entire life. Roddy gave me a B+, okay? A B+ in his class, and said it was for two reasons. One, I didn't make 10 out of 10 for my free throws. And he said, you wouldn't try out for the basketball team. And I wanted you to try out for the basketball team. You told me no.
And he gave you a B for that?
He gave me the only B outside of my core classes, y'all. The only
Roddy gave you a B because you didn't try out?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yes. But you know, the funny thing is, like, I love him for it. Like Roddy was just that person. Even when I was at Andrews, after I left and graduated from Oakwood, and they would have the Andrews Oakwood basketball games, and I would go out to Chicago, he would be one of the people that I would look for when Oakwood would come in. It was just Jagged, Roddy. Actually, Roddy saved my life a couple of times because I wasn't always good about using my inhaler when I played sports. There were a couple of times, actually, he and Benji were like, Chelsea, where's your inhaler? And they would like pull me aside and be like, okay, deep breathing, calm down, all this type of stuff, just because I was a little stubborn. But yeah, Roddy is a part of my Oakwood experience, even before I went to Oakwood. So like it's just crazy to even think about. My heart continues to go out to the family and everyone who was touched by him, because the entire family, such wonderful people, a legacy,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like everybody has their own Roddy experience. Like I was there for 4 years, and this guy will forever, and his family forever be in my mind, in my life.
Okay, tell me this, because you said that, all right, he saved your life a couple of times because you forgot your inhaler, and he'd be there to calm you down. Okay, but just what I've been hearing about him is that he's not always the one that's nice and calm and helping you to calm down. So since you played on the team where he was on the sideline, tell me some of the
sideline Roddy.
Yeah. Tell me some of the non-calm things that maybe it came out of his mouth at certain times.
Nabbit. I've never heard that word so often in my life. But he would like come out, and it would be like a one-sided, like coming out at you like, pass the dang ball or whatever.
Those are his cuss words, man.
Yes, his veggie curse words. But yeah, like and the thing is, he wasn't doing it to be annoying or mean, or he was just doing it because he cared about you and he wanted you to work hard because he knew that you were able to do much more than you were presenting. And like, what good coach doesn't? Like my dad has done that all of my life. Like it was an extension of that with coaches like Hillis and Roddy. I mean, like they all, like Roddy sticks out obviously, but right, like Roddy was about it. And like it was crazy. Like we didn't have everything when we started volleyball. Like we were starting with great talent, but we didn't have all the equipment. He made it work. He found schools that wanted to play us. Like like, you know what I mean? Like we didn't have everything. Jazz and Melanie and Stacy, like we all came together and from totally different walks. Like we were practicing at like 5:30 in the morning, like most of the days of the week, like my sophomore, junior year, like special dude.
Do you have pictures and stuff from back then?
Ooh, I think I might in my, either in the yearbook, I might have to find some. Actually, I might. That's a good question.
That's significant right there. Because I was going to ask you, Roddy is respected, Chelsea, by men and women across the board. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't think I've known anybody to really try Roddy. I don't think I've ever known anyone to really disrespect him in any kind of way.
That would be stupid.
But I want to ask you this question because this is kind of the thing we've been talking with everybody. This, Jesse Wilson said it best. He wasn't white black. He was white. He was, but he was our homie. He was.
Yes.
I mean, it was just talk to me about just. I mean, from the first time you saw him to just, if you could just describe Roddy. I think G's been asking this in one word. Just what would it be? Give me one word.
One word? Like, no, that doesn't do it justice. He was warm for sure. Warm and welcoming.
Yeah.
He was hilarious.
He
very,
was
very fun. But he was passionate. And he was definitely, I'm a social worker. So he was an advocate. Definitely an advocate for the students, for the school, for the athletic department, for growth. He was an advocate. All of those things, like you can't just put Roddy in one word. Like that's not fair.
Well, we're asking a bunch of people for one word, but I got you: warm, welcoming, passionate,
funny, and hilarious.
An advocate. I can say that he was an advocate for the girls, for the women's volleyball team at Oakwood.
Absolutely.
When we started. Like I'm telling you, we had talent. And that was pretty. And what's the name of the gym? Ashby. Thank you, Ashby Auditorium.
Which not unfortunately, I think they should change the name to the other gym.
Oh, no doubt. Like they
got to change that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But no, we had literally.
Austin, I want you to know that she's about to say it again, but she's already said a few times that they for sure had talent. Like they have everything.
So here's the thing. We honestly, a lot of us had just played in high school, and that was it. So you're talking about playing on the college level. That's a totally different ballgame. And a lot of us had not played. Like I hadn't played since my sophomore, junior year of high school. So you're talking about 4 years later. Like that's just pure talent. Like Stacy, Melanie, our libero was maybe 5 feet tall, maybe. And that's given. And I love her. I love Melanie, like heart. But she was small. So she was hitting net.
So Austin, I'm gonna have to look up libero.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I will look it up though.
But Roddy was good about identifying people who were like unknown talent at Oakwood. Like, if I'm not mistaken, like Hillis played like football. The Terrence from Curacao, he played for the national team.
Wow, that's right.
Like, this isn't like we're not talking about
that's
random people.
right.
When I'm talking about talent, I'm talking about people who actually were like internationally, known. So they were the ones who were training us. So you're talking about what, 4 years later, I'm able to start playing volleyball, and some of us are start being able to play volleyball again, being able to perform well enough to actually beat other schools within the first year. Like that's, to me,
there must be talent. There must be some talent
to be able to identify those people to put together to create talent. Yeah, absolutely. And this is no like on us, like we were just regular people, but he was able to identify people that could come together to make the team what it was. Because usually it takes a while for people to gel. They weren't really in the race.
It was smooth sailing.
Yeah,
Yo, Chelsea, we appreciate you coming on just real quick to talk about the homie Roddy. We know that you're busy, but we appreciate you for doing that.
And it sounds like
not gonna be the same.
You in between two things.
It's not.
Alumni is not going. Oh, that's right. No one said that yet. Alumni graduation, but it's alumni. It's alumni because it's that Sunday when everybody's outside.
Yep, outside the gym,
snack bar,
or watching the games in the tournament.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be the same. It's just not.
Yeah,
but
shout out to his legacy, man. Shout out to you.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you. The first, what year was that? The first.
That was my sophomore year. That was 06-07, I think.
That's
legacy. I believe it was 06-07, if not 07. No, I was in Wade, so 06-07.
Sounds dope. Chelsea, man, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
Thank you for taking the time.
Of course.
Yeah. All right.
Blessings.
Man, Coach Roddy was the man. He was the legend. He was the myth, the man, the legend. He was everything Oakwood. I remember when we first moved to Huntsville, my family and I, in 1993, that was the first time I met Coach Roddy. And I even have some pictures, man. I have a picture that maybe you guys can show the audience of when I'm a little kid standing next to the legend and he's surrounded by all these men. But Coach meant everything, especially to us as players. Now, Coach, he literally coached generations, multiple generations of ambassadors, of not just basketball players, but I remember watching him out there on the softball field. He and my dad, man, when he was younger, playing softball, he was out there on the football field. He was everything sports. And one of the things I appreciated about Coach Roddy was that he expected the very best out of you. Anything less than that was not going to do. He was one, many of you all would see him on the sideline getting beat red because he's upset, angry. He's so passionate about the sport, whichever one it was, basketball, softball, volleyball. He taught all of them. But one thing we definitely appreciated about him was that he believed in you. He pushed you. He wouldn't accept anything less than the best from you. But he was also very encouraging. I'll never forget when we won the first national championship basketball trophy. We went out there, the USCAA, the first year in 2008 that we joined, we won. And he wasn't able to come with us. But I remember when we got back, Coach Roddy was so excited. And really, we were excited not to just be able to bring the trophy back to Oakwood, but to bring the trophy back to Roddy. We played for him. We were inspired by him. And yeah, there's no replacing that guy. Special.
Yeah, tell me this. So you said you met him like as a young person. So before you were at Oakwood University, before you tried out, right, for the team. So what was it like going from, this is somebody that you already know and now being on the basketball team? Like, just my experience at Oakwood is that like people that I was close to when they taught me, like when I was in your dad's class, he didn't act like we didn't have a prior relationship. He was like, gee, remember when such and such and such and such, when I was in Ojuan class, he would call me my friend, so was he like that where he treated you like he's known you all your life? And when you were on the team, when you made the team?
On the court, the relationship was different than off the court. Off the court, he's putting his arm around you and, hey, how's life? How's it going? How's your family? And all that good stuff. But on the court, it was about business. He on the court was very focused. And he also was acting AD when I first shifted into Oakwood. So he wasn't necessarily the head coach, but whenever he walked in the gym, he would offer advice, he would offer guidance, and he still had his, office, his space that was sacred up there in the gym. And if ever we wanted to go and get some wisdom from the sage, we'd go up there and talk to Roddy, man. So he really had free reign, just latitude to whenever we were in a practice, if ever he needed to say something or do something, it was on. We were listening. Whatever he said, we were focused to. And really on the court, he was powerful. But I think that all of us, even as basketball players, appreciated him most for the off the court relationships that he was able to forge with us. We believed and know that he loved us. He wasn't just there, man, to pull in some athletes to try to win a championship. No, he was very much about people. He invested in us off the court, and he became a father figure to many of my teammates on the teams that I was able to play on through the 4 years while I was at Oakwood. He literally was the father to many of these players.
JD, did he have to, since you were going to go to Oakwood anyway, like there was no stopping you from going to Oakwood University. So did he recruit you, or because you were going to be there anyway, it was just a known fact?
So Coach Tony Oliver, I'll never forget it. I was playing because I lived in Huntsville in my high school years. So I was playing at the Huntsville Times Classic. This is a tournament that happens in Huntsville. And my senior year, we made it all the way to the championship. And I remember Coach Roddy and Coach Tony Oliver over there, and we'd have conversations. Again, they knew I was coming to Oakwood. I wanted to be a pastor and all of it. Oakwood was where I was going to go. But I do remember having a few conversations with both of those coaches, man, in preparation for it. We were excited about it. He always painted just a positive and optimistic picture of the future. Like, man, we're going to do this. We're excited that you're coming. And yeah, it was very motivating, even in the talks before I came to Oakwood. And even the ambassadors that were playing before I arrived at Oakwood, they were like the talk of the town, even though, A&M was the real big team that was there in Huntsville. Man, we would give A&M a run for their money, man. So I was always more motivated, not just to come and study theology, but also to play basketball and to be a part of the sports program, mainly because of the leadership in that of Coach Roddy.
All right. So one question we've been asking everybody, if you could just use one word that pops in your head when you think of Coach, what word is that?
Genuine. I never felt that he was anything but sincere, whether it was him motivating us with yelling at us and telling us what we needed to do different, or if he was over there just encouraging us, lift up your head after a loss, letting us know that it's going to be all right. He always came across as genuine, which is why I think he also was able to talk to all of us, no matter what our temperament or personality or history was, and we would receive it because, yeah, that sincerity always would shine through.
That's it, man. So, and I'll ask this question. If you answer it, then we'll leave it in here. If you don't, then I'll take it out.
All right.
Do you remember you talked about him being in his office and you always being able to go there? Like, do you remember like one time where you needed to go to his office and you went, and what he told you and how he was able to help you?
Yeah, I remember I went to his office. I was frustrated about some things that were happening just in the basketball program. And when I went to seek advice from him, I remember him just kind of calming me down, suggesting, hey, we're going to take care of it. We're going to handle it. Don't worry. I got your back. And that was really what was needed in that moment, that support. And even though he was like the legend, even during that time, he still was very down to earth and approachable. So when going to him for advice or for help or support, I always received it.
That's it, man. Well, appreciate you coming on, Doc.
For sure.
Like I said, we wanted to get your angle, and we're glad that you found time to give it to us, man. Bless
Absolutely.
up.
Bless up. Bless up.
All right.
Have a good one.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's something when someone passes away that we love and we still encourage each other, we still smile, you know, you still put a good face on it, even though sometimes it's up and sometimes it's down. And so for that sake, we're doing this to kind of just share, you know, it's something cathartic about hearing other people tell stories that you can relate to about somebody that you love, and oftentimes it's things that makes you laugh, at a time where we're sad. It's oftentimes that you hear stories that make you laugh. And I just wanted to talk to you about Coach for a few minutes and ask you, first of all, like what does he mean to both you and Oakwood University?
Wow. Well, when I came here January 79 from La Sierra, he's one of the first people I met because I was a PE minor. So got to know him, got to know the whole family. I actually worked for him for years, babysat all the children. They took me in as their oldest, darkest daughter. That's what they called me. Loved him, called him. He was like a father to me, father figure. Just Mr. Roddy in Oakwood. It's like you can't say Oakwood without, you don't even have to say Mr. Roddy. You don't have to say James. You just don't have to say Coach. The name Roddy throughout the entire, more than even the U.S., throughout the world. You just say Roddy. Their kids go anywhere and they say they're a Roddy. They're like, oh, they immediately associated it with their father.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
A legend, a legend, a legend, a legend.
So we've been getting a lot of stories. Do you have one that kind of encapsulates, like his essence?
Wow. I have so many stories. It's hard to focus in on one. Wow. I'll give you two.
Okay.
A serious one and a funny one. I'll start with the serious one. I'll never forget. I don't even remember who the guy was, but Mr. Roddy saw me talking to some guy at the baseball field. And he came up to me afterwards when he left and he said, Elaine, your father is in California. He said, and if you were my daughter, I'd want somebody to say something to you. That's not a good person. You don't need to talk to him. I mean, Mr. Roddy told you like it was. He didn't bite his tongue, but he said it in love. And I've never forgotten that. He said it in love. I have so many funny stories, but probably one of the funniest ones was.
Well, did it work?
Yeah, I don't even remember who it was. So obviously I let it go.
It worked. Well, sometimes when you get that kind of advice, from a father figure, it'll make you rebel. So I'm glad that you listen. Amen. Hallelujah.
I listened to him. I absolutely listened.
All right.
He truly cared about students. He didn't just, teach you in a classroom. If he saw you in the calf or like he saw me and you weren't doing something right, he's going to call you on it. He, as somebody keeps saying, he was true blue. He really was.
True blue.
On a side note, it's funny to kind of say it this way, but when you think of a crayon box, you have your red, your blues, your greens, your yellow. Mr. Roddy was clear, a color that didn't even fit in the box. He didn't see color. He saw your heart. He didn't see the things on the outside. He looked at your heart and treated you that way. And that's one of the things I appreciate about him and will miss about him. I have so many funny stories, but I'll tell this one. We had been working a softball game and the game was over and I was getting ready to leave. I lived on campus, so I had a car and he got in his car. Hamilton. That's my maiden name. For those of you who don't know, Elaine Hamilton Alston. He said, Hamilton. I said, yes, Mr. Roddy. He said, I don't know if I can make it to the gas station. Follow me to the gas station. I said, okay. So I followed him to the gas station right there at Jordan Lane and Oakwood Avenue. And we get there and I said, you good? He gets out of the car. I forgot my wallet. I need some money. So I said, Mr. Roddy, I said, I have money. I said, but now we're going to talk about that grade in my class you gave me? Dag nabbit, you better give me that money right now. But that was him. That was him. You know, I used to babysit the kids. And I remember one time I had 3 of the kids. I think it was Barbara, Esco, Brian, and I. We were following Mr. Roddy going to the mall because he was going to pick up some, I think, baseball uniforms or something. And we're walking in the mall and we passed a ice cream stand. So I looked at him, I said, real loud, did it on purpose. I said, Daddy, you're going to buy us some ice cream? And all of these Caucasian people in the mall turned around looking at us like we were crazy. He turned so red laughing, and he still didn't buy us the ice cream. But that was him. I mean, I go back to the clear. Huh? Yeah, dag nabbit. That was him. That's him.
Something. So excluding dag nabbit, give me one word to describe him.
Wow. One word. Wow. Irreplaceable. Irreplaceable. Mm-hmm. And just as he would always say, dag nabbit, and you knew, if you were talking to him about something serious, like if I was telling him somebody is sick or had cancer or something, he would look at you and he would say 3 things, the same things. My. And you knew that it was weighing heavy on his heart when he said it. He would just say it again. My. Yeah. I'm going to miss him. Yeah. I'm really going to miss him.
Yeah. That could be said today.
Yeah. One thing I want to add that I thought about this the other day, you know, reading the messages and stories people are putting on Facebook and the impact that his death has had around the world. And I kind of sum it up this way. Mr. Roddy, to me, is having the Kobe effect in Adventism of how we all felt when he died the beginning of 2020. It has just kind of rocked us and just had that kind of same impact.
All right, guys, you know, we're continuing our talks about just the legacy of Roddy. Got my boy James Kelly here all the way from Bermuda. Bro, appreciate you being here, man. You know, we've been talking a lot with several people about just, you know, who Roddy was to them, what he meant to the university. You had a perspective because you were at school as a student and you worked there. But man, give us your first impressions when you met Roddy. You know, what was he like to you? I know you all had a special relationship.
I think like most people probably will say is when you get to an HBCU and you see a white man walking around campus, the first thing you want to know is why is this white man here on campus at HBCU? But Coach Roddy quickly showed me why he was there. He had a distinct purpose for being on Oakwood's campus. For someone like me who grew up without a granddad, both my grandfathers passed away before I was born. Coach Roddy felt probably in my life the closest thing to a grandfather to me. As a student, you know, he would pull me aside. You know, when I first got to Oakwood, I had a very bad disposition. I would fly off at the handles real quick. And one time Coach Roddy caught me in the gym flying off at the handles, and he pulled me over to the side and asked me, what do I want out of life? Because if I want to be successful, there's no better place than Oakwood to be. But if I want to be a fool, there's a million other places I could find myself. And in that moment, you know, Coach Roddy has always been my guy. Whether I was in his class, whether, you know, and I got the opportunity to not just be a student of his, but to become a colleague of his eventually. And he's always been the same. There's not that many people that I can say in life that anytime you saw them, you got the same person, no matter who you're in front of. But he was always consistent with me each time.
Gee, I think that we've been asking a lot of people just kind of their experiences, the laughter, but it's kind of been good to kind of hear the perspective of both the student and I think, you know, the person who ends up being the colleague, which is just rare, but he's been there that long. The longevity is crazy.
And you said like he's the same person. So because you messed up my next question, because I would have asked you, like, how did your relationship change when you went from being a student to a colleague?
You know, I actually got, and I can still add on because I got to see a side of Roddy that I really never saw. A lot of times when you hear about a person working in athletics, a lot of times when they're talking about recruiting a student, all they're talking about is what can this student do for this program that they're trying to recruit them for. Coach Roddy never had that conversation with me. He never told me how tall a kid was. He never told me how athletic a kid was. All he said was, this kid needs to be here at Oakwood University because Oakwood University can help this kid academically. Oakwood can help this kid spiritually. This kid is coming from this environment, and we really want to get him here so that he can matriculate through and become a doctor, a lawyer, whatever that kid was interested in. And it's interesting because as a recruiter, as someone who is going out to engage with students, a lot of times from their parents, even their parents sometimes miss that they're coming to school for school when they are an athlete. A lot of times their focus is, what can this school do for my kid to get him to the next level in basketball or baseball or whatever that kid is trying to get into. But Coach Roddy, each time he sat in my office and we had a conversation about a student that he wanted me to call, he first was so respectful of their parents. He always wanted to make sure, never call a kid without talking to their parents first. And the second thing that he always wanted me to do was find out what kind of grades they had, find out what we could do if we realized that they were a kid that was going to come in struggling. How could we keep this student here? And if a student got to Oakwood and they were struggling to stay in, and they were on the basketball team or they were playing another sport, the first thing that Coach Roddy would do is come to my office and say, this kid is struggling. How can we help keep them in school? And so I always appreciated just his sheer ability to always think about other people and how he could help other people. And you know, Coach Roddy's legacy is long. Coach Roddy taught my father-in-law, he taught my wife, he taught her sister who's 6 years older than her. And now my brother-in-law is at Oakwood and knows who Coach Roddy is. So it's the legacy that Coach Roddy has touched. It's just is huge. And like you said before, everyone has a Coach Roddy story, but I really loved Coach Roddy just because of his consistency. Like I said before, G.
Yeah. So we've been asking everybody, if you can, do your best. If you could describe Coach Roddy in one word, what would it be?
Man, that's a good question. If I can describe Coach Roddy in one word, it would be passionate. And the reason why it's passionate, Coach Roddy was even in his old age, was a very strong guy. And sometimes he would everything that he did was large. Everything that, if Coach Roddy was in the gym, you knew he was in the gym. If Coach Roddy saw you in church, you knew that you had been spotted by Coach Roddy in church, because everything that he did, he didn't act like what they're saying his age was.
Right.
And it's so interesting. Even when Monica and I started dating, and I found out that her father was taught by this man, I was so shocked that my father-in-law could have been taught by a guy who taught me, who still had so much energy.
Yeah.
Coach Roddy would fix things for you if you needed, if you needed something fixed, he would get down on the ground and fix it. And I'm like, I know people who are younger than him who can't get up and get down as quick as he can. He always, he was passionate about Oakwood University. He was passionate about his students. He was passionate about the Lord. Coach Roddy, there's a lot of times we say that we're going to see people in heaven, but I guarantee that I know I will see Coach Roddy in heaven. Because even up until my last conversation, before I moved from Huntsville to Bermuda, Coach Roddy pulled me aside. We talked. He told me, he has a love for Bermuda. He would come here often. We prayed together. He didn't want me to leave Oakwood University, but he knew that God had a plan for me somewhere else.
Yeah.
And Coach Roddy, I know for a fact that he loved me, which is something that I hold on to. And I'm trying not to get emotional, but he was my guy. And my job that I'm in now just had a conversation about allyship and how others can be allies for and brown people. And when we were in this training, the only thing that I could think of each time it's Coach Roddy. He's been an ally.
Yeah.
So many people and it was effortlessly. It wasn't something that you thought that he had to think about. It was just in his nature. And as many people tell you, he wasn't doing it when it was popular. And he wasn't doing it when it was popular in a place where it was popular at. He was doing it someplace where I can almost guarantee if he was here to tell us the stories of not only how others treated him, but how some of the people who he was trying to help treated him initially.
Yeah.
I could just imagine. So, I just think that when I get to heaven, I want to ask him some of the stories that I never got a chance to ask him.
Do you have a scenario? I don't know if you have this scenario where you were recruiting and he changed his mind about bringing somebody and it surprised you for the reason that he changed his mind, or the opposite, that he recruited somebody that you thought he should not recruit. And so we don't want names or anything like that, but any surprises, any serendipity in the recruitment?
So there was a student, a high school student. Kid was about 6'7", was extremely talented where he was at. And we actually brought him down to view the campus, walk the campus. And this young man, he came with his mother. Now this kid, Coach, he showed me highlights of him. It was a good kid that I believe could have probably taken the Ambassadors to another level. And the way that he talked to his mother, Coach Roddy didn't want him to come to campus.
Wow.
So
really
engaged with his mother, and the way that he was, I wouldn't say he was bucking up to his mother, but he lacked a little bit of respect for his mother. And after the trip around campus, after we talked to him about finances and all that kind of stuff, and we told him and his mom goodbye, and they got on the road. Coach Roddy said, I don't want him here, because if he's willing to talk to his mother that way, that's what he's willing to say to other people.
That is wow.
Yeah, and that really showed me the standard that he had, that the kind of person that he was. Because a lot of times, and we all know this, with athletes, they get passes all the time, and they're allowed to do a lot more than sometimes 5'5" like me are allowed to do. But for every man, for every woman, Coach Roddy had them on the same level. No one was above anyone, no one was below anyone. Everybody was just on that same level playing field. And that's that consistency that he always had.
I love that. That's good, man.
And that's awesome.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'm laughing, and on the way out, James, I'm just thinking about how, Coach was so kind-hearted, loving, but when Coach would come and cut somebody, man, he would just get up in us, man, yelling at us in the snack bar, yelling at us in the gym. I just appreciate the fact, man, that you had an opportunity just to see him in both sides, colleague and as a teacher, man. So we just appreciate you, bro.
Thank you
for coming on, man. Appreciate you, Doc.
When I think of Mr. James Roddy, there are so many memorable experiences and stories that I have. For my entire life, I've known him. He's known me. And so his loss is very difficult and very hard. My wife and I, Danielle, and our 3 daughters, love the Roddys dearly, and also the patriarch of the family, Mr. James Roddy. He's been coach, he's been teacher, he's been friend, he's been confidant. He's also served in the church I currently pastor, the Oakwood University Church, as an elder and Sabbath school teacher. But when I think about all of my interactions with him, and I think about all the stories I have of him, my mind goes back to when I was a member of the Oakwood University, or back then, Oakwood College basketball team, the Ambassadors. And I was the point guard on the team. I can remember we were playing another team, and there were 5 players, of course, on the court from our team at one time. And we were doing well, scoring, playing defense, and winning. And the momentum was growing and gaining by the minute. And we were on a run, maybe a 10-0 run, where we would score 10 points. Our opponents had scored nothing. And we were really feeling that thing. And then all of a sudden, he tells us, time out, time out. And we're like, the momentum is good right now. What do you mean call a timeout? Time out. And then Mr. Roddy did what he infamously would often do. And that would be engage in a wholesale substitution. That's right. Wholesale substitutions. What am I talking about? Mr. Roddy subbed not one person, not two persons, not three persons or four persons, but all five of us. Now you need to understand, we're winning, we're rolling, we're doing well. He calls a timeout, that's one thing, but then subs all of us out. We get to the bench, we're like, what are you doing? Why are you taking all of us out? We're winning, we're rolling, we're increasing the lead. And then, in the way only Mr. Roddy could do, he said, be quiet, I'm Dag Nabbit in charge. That was his word, Dag Nabbit. He was Dag Nabbit in charge, and he was right. And guess what we did? We got quiet and we sat on that bench. But that was Mr. Roddy. You know what? When we get to heaven and I see Mr. Roddy, I probably won't say, Dag Nabbit, we made it to the kingdom, because that would be inappropriate. But when I see him, I'm going to be happy to see him. And I will say, Coach Roddy, we made it. We won, not the basketball game, but because of Jesus' sacrifice for us on Calvary and his love for us and our willingness to love Jesus back, we made it. We won against sin and Satan. Hallelujah. Home at last. The redeemed will be home at last.
Yo,
not in the house anyway.
We got my man DeMorris Miller in the building, Pastor Miller, all the way from Nashville. We've been talking all pod long about just the legacy, the life of Roddy, man. You know, Pastor Miller, it's been a transition just thinking about all the different things that he's done, the laughter. We talked to Wayne Buckner, talked about how Roddy was always present, always willing to make you laugh. So did James Kelly a second ago, just several things. But for you, man, what was your experience with Roddy like? What was it like when you first met this Caucasian guy on Oakwood's campus?
So I have two quick stories. The first one happened when I decided to take golf. I felt that because I was a pastor, I needed to learn how to golf. And I can remember having a putter and swinging it like it's a baseball. And he comes up to me, taps me on my shoulder. He said, "Did you play baseball?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "This ain't baseball, Dag Nabbit." And then he walked away. He didn't finish. He didn't show me a better way. He just literally turned around, dismissed me, and walked away. And so that's my first story. And then my second story is a little bit more sentimental to me. It was in 2011 when I became one of the pastors on the Oakwood University Church team. And it was my first Sabbath there. Matter of fact, Austin was there. I got introduced, and he comes up to me and he says, "Man, I've always called you Miller." He said, "What do you want me to call you now?" I said, "Call me Miller." He said, "No, you're my pastor." I said, "No, wow. I'm just Miller." He said, "Dag Nabbit, you're my pastor." It's an honor for me to allow you to pastor me.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, to this day, those words sink in, because I often don't think high of myself, but he saw me for who I am and who God called me to be, and said it was an honor for me to pastor him. That's my Roddy.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, man. We've been hearing Dag Nabbit everybody's been saying it. But DeMorris, when you look at just the legacy of Roddy, we've been talking a lot about his presence. You know, he was everywhere, supported everything. You had a unique opportunity to pastor him, as you talked about. And Roddy was present for Sabbath school. He was present for church. I mean, and I think Dr. Buckner talked about this earlier, man. He would just be the first one on his feet during the word, during the choir. Talk about just his presence that you saw on campus, how he interacted with the students. What stood out to you?
Yeah, one of the things that stood out to me was, I believe I don't know if it was the first year I was there, but they started to bring the basketball team over to the church and pray for the team at the beginning of the league, when the league started, beginning of the season. And one of the things that stood out to me was the importance of prayer to Dr. Roddy, Brother Roddy. He believed in the power of prayer. He wanted us to pray over each of his kids, and what he wanted us to do, which was interesting, we prayed in front of everyone in the sanctuary, but also at the end, he would have us go pray over each of the students individually. And I thought that was just pretty special and powerful of Dr. Roddy, the fact that he understood and believed in the power of prayer.
He's a spiritual guy, man. I mean, he loved the Lord, loved being in every activity. Him and his wife, he was a family man. So, you know, I know Pastor Miller, you got a chance to. It's funny when you said that golfing thing, man. I had golfing with him too, and man, I suck at golfing. I'm just not good. And he wouldn't even say "dagnabbit" to me anymore, because he would say it to me so many times in between the class. After a while, he's like, "Humphrey, just stand by me. You just stand here." But it was just always love, man. The jokes, the laughter that we had. Yeah, man. If you could describe Roddy in one word, just try your best, man. Give us one word. What would the one word be?
I would say loyal. And the reason why I chose the word loyal is because he was loyal to the cause, loyal to the word, loyal to our denomination, loyal to Oakwood, loyal to the ambassadors, loyal to his family, loyal to his friends, loyal to his church, just a loyal man. And if you had the privilege to be one of his friends, he was loyal to you.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate you, Pastor Miller, for jumping on, being a part, man. I can't wait to get to heaven so we can hear dagnabbit again. I don't know how he's going to use it in one context, but he's going to find a way to use it. It's like, the dagnabbit comes out of nowhere too. But it's always hilarious.
And it's so loud. It's never like dagnabbit. It's dagnabbit, you know. That's the way it is, man.
He's as loud as the gym is at basketball games. That dagnabbit comes out, everybody's rolling, man. Everybody, for sure. But thanks, Pastor Miller, for jumping on with the podcast, bro. Appreciate you, man.
No All problem. Right, man. Take it easy.
All right, everybody. We're glad to have Dr. Rupert Bushner in the building. This is my former chaplain at Oakwood. We're glad you're here, man, to talk about Roddy, man. I know that was one of your boys, not just as a colleague, but as a close friend. Man, really quick, Doc, just kind of tell us what was it like meeting him for the very first time, seeing this Caucasian brother on the HBCU campus.
Man, you know what? It was amazing because I took physical education from him, which means our class was about running. And the first impression that I got when I took that class as a freshman, in fact, I would leave Henry Wright's class from biblical intro to the Bible, because I didn't have the privilege. When I joined the church, I had just joined as a junior, about to become a senior. So I didn't go to an academy. So real quick, I came to Oakwood. I had to take intro to the Bible, you know, and Henry Wright happened to be the teacher. He came in 78. It's amazing. He left in 83, the same time I left, and became my president when I went to Allegheny West. That's the sidebar.
Wow.
But real quick, when I left his class, Bible, intro to the Bible, I would go to physical education. In physical education, Roddy was my teacher. I met him. Man, this guy, he was an incredible athlete. I remember playing flag football. I mean, just talking about diversion. This brother knew how to make you think somebody had the ball and they didn't. He would turn his back and he would fake this way, fake that way. People try to get his flag. So he was an incredible athlete when I came as a freshman. But I took the class physical education from him. And after I left, and I'm saying that to say, when I left the intro to the Bible class, we had just gone over the manslayer. And you know how you had to get to the refuge city. And so if you did something accidentally, if you got to the refuge city, it was 6 of them, 3 in the south, 3 in the north. Yeah. And you got there, you were good as long as the priest was alive. Once he died, you were something, you know, all that. So when I left that class, I went to physical education. So I would, in my mind, run as though the manslayer was out. And I would run, man. I would run. I mean, literally, we would have to go back down Ride Out Road. And I'm talking about 8, 9 miles. I mean, 10 miles was the final. And so I would run. And I would just finish playing high school ball. I just joined the church. I didn't play my senior year. All the games were on the Sabbath. People thought I lost my mind, but I kind of did lose my mind because let this mind be in you that was also.
Yeah.
So I did lose my mind. And so I got to Oakwood, man. I was excited about being around other young people. But that class, physical education, it was my outlet because I'm running. And I would run. And this is my encounter with Roddy. Roddy, after he saw that I was getting back so fast, one day he followed me. I mean, he came and he was following me in his truck. And all of a sudden he came up beside me. And he saw me running. I mean, I was hauling. He said, I'm thinking somebody picking you up, giving you a ride, that you were getting back this fast. I said, no, bro.
Oh, wow.
So I was running. And so from that time on, man, we developed an incredible relationship. I mean, I love me some Roddy. Roddy was incredible because with my boys going there, playing on the basketball team.
Right.
He took them under his wings. My son, second generation. And it was amazing because when I was, Reggie was probably about 5 or 6 years old, and I brought Reggie there to alumni weekend. And he saw Reggie dribbling the ball. He said, man, that boy got some skills. He need to come here one day. And lo and behold, Reggie came, Brooke came, Ronnie came. They won some championships. So, I mean, I've had some great times bringing my family. Then he met Jaden, my grandson. And so I'm just saddened that he won't be able to see him come and thrive as a baller at Oakwood University. But Roddy, man, he was a great guy. I'm going to miss him. We just went up to Huntsville. I went and took the Mecca. I had to take the picture. I was hoping that his wife and son who were in the house didn't think I was, some kind of some vandalizing the place.
Right.
Me and my son, Reggie, we took the pictures. But you know what? He's going to be missed. You know, what he did was incredible because he came there in the 50s. Now, if you look at the backdrop of what was going on in the 50s in Alabama, you're talking about Jim Crow. You're talking about his family. You're talking about the black folk. Everybody probably had something to say. But in spite of what they were saying, he came there, and he wasn't a missionary. He came there in Oakwood. The family became his. It wasn't like, I'm coming in, I'm going to get out. No. I mean, really, his children, his family. Oh, man, I only say big ups to Roddy. He was a true Christian, a man of God who loved the Lord, and he loved people. I mean, literally, he loved people. And I'm just glad to have met him. I know he's an icon in such a way because he touched so many lives. I mean, when you look at it, the people that he touched, those guys, the athletes that went through Oakwood, they could have played professional. I mean, literally, if the Sabbath wasn't an issue, you would have had a lot of folk in the NBA, NFL, MLB, and even probably because Roddy just was that guy who pushed you to the limit. He played baseball. He played, football, basketball, and he was all of that. And so he's going to be missed, his family, his wife, his children. And I just want to say thank you for allowing me just to be able to share a little bit about my encounter with him. And I just know, like I said again, that flag football, sometimes you freeze people in your mind and you remember them that way. You see him getting older. He's like, you got the fountain of youth. He's going to be here forever. Nothing going to touch him. But
even sometimes you see these yearbooks, the faculty be putting those old pictures on there.
Absolutely.
So what's the freeze frame in your mind for Roddy?
And a freeze frame, man, I'm telling you, is flag football. I mean, this brother would get behind the quarterback. He would get the ball, and then he would literally turn his back to the defense, and you got running backs going one way, and he's faking it one way, and he would do a bootleg, or he would pass the ball. And I remember him being so agile, so quick, and so just deceiving with the football. I mean, he wasn't fast. It was just the maneuvering of how he did it. And so I remember that. And then again, like I said again, I'll never forget how he drove up on me when I was running.
That's special. That's special, man.
All right, so your one word. We've been asking everybody to give one word to describe Coach.
For me, real. That's my word. He was real. I mean, he was real. He was real. Dag Nabbit, he was real.
Yeah. Uncle Root, man, appreciate you for doing this, man, being on the podcast today. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, but to lift up our friend Roddy, and we wish you well, man. Thanks, Doc.
My pleasure. God bless, man. You all keep doing what you're doing. Incredible, man.
You've been listening to the Academy Podcast with Austin and G. Hit the subscribe button and come again. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, and of course, Facebook. Oh yeah, and if you know someone who could use the information you just gained, take a minute to share.